Unafraid, right or wrong, back in the house today. Is Friday. It's quitting time for a lot of you people. Yeah, it's quitting time for a lot of you people. But before the weekend comes, we gotta hit you with what's going on with right or wrong today. First off, we have North Carolina, their scandal with their academic fraud. The results came down today. They got a little baby slap on the wrist and nothing happened to him. Ezekiel Elliott, he's now suspended again for 6 games. We'll get into the Ezekiel Elliott case for a little bit. And Michael Jordan's garbage comments about the league, about the competitive balance. And then we'll get into our anonymous emails I posted yesterday. Please look at it's on my Twitter account at George Reister. And yes, I am George Reister. Please make sure you like the feed, share the feed, continue the conversation. First off, though, like I just said, North Carolina. So if you're not familiar with the situation, North Carolina, their basketball team had been put, and some of their football players had been put through an African-American studies program that was a non-program. Like there were no real classes. You wrote a paper, 1 sentence, and then you got an A. And they were just passing guys through. And the NCAA, they launched an investigation, 3.5 years, and the results came down today. Nothing happened. So North Carolina argued that the NCAA didn't have jurisdiction over this matter in terms of conferring degrees, course management, all this stuff, because the school presidents didn't want them involved in that. So here is where this gets very interesting and tricky, right? Because we're pushing the blame on the victims. We're pushing the blame on the players. Oh, you didn't get an education. You signed up for this. This was your opportunity. You blew it, right? But when you're a college athlete, you are depending on the people around you. You are depending on your coaches, your academic advisors, and those people in leadership to direct your path in terms of getting a degree and starting your career, starting your life. And when they don't when they don't help educate you, that's an actual crime. Like, that's not cool. So it makes no sense to me when we go back to the same old argument about players should or should not be paid. Of course, players should be paid, especially if you're not going to educate them. If you're not going to educate them, of course they should be paid. Because the NCAA has shown that they said that there is no obligation to educate the players. There is no obligation to do anything, really. So at the point in time that there's no obligation to educate the players, why on earth can you make a case for players not being paid? Because the trade-off is supposed to be education for your services, even though you are far exceeding your worth, your value, your added value to the university is more than the scholarship is worth. Doesn't make sense to me. But this is what we find ourselves in this situation a lot now. We find ourselves in this situation a lot with all these investigations because, like what's going on at North Carolina, is that they have these paper courses, and with these investigations, what do they say? Oh, we must do something now. Everybody's outraged. Everybody's outraged. Oh, North Carolina, they cheated. They should have educated these guys. We're upset about it. Yes, we'll launch an investigation. That's what the NCAA says. Then what do? Takes 3.5 years. North Carolina wins 2 championships and is pushed out of the back of your mind. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's the oldest trick in the book. Oh, just push it out to later. Just push it out to later. And we'll forget about it. And now people don't care as much because the people are gone at the university. The courses have been fixed. But there's still the problem. You won't pay them. You won't educate them. That's why the NCAA is sweatshop labor. I will continue to say it. It's not slavery. It's not indentured servitude. It is sweatshop labor. Because you are working, making money, providing a service, and being underpaid and undervalued for what you do. And Jay Billis, who is an advocate for the against this idea of amateurism, he even said that this was a waste of time by the NCAA because they didn't have jurisdiction. But who is to actually blame for North Carolina not educating their schools, or Auburn when they were investigated as well? Who's to blame for this? Because we have the coaches using their, oh, well, this wasn't me, I didn't know, we'll do better next time. They're using that pass, they're using that card. But coaches know every single thing that's going on in their program in terms of if kids are taking easy classes, good classes, any of that, they know this. So, yes, they're using their card and their pass for that. But this is a cultural problem in college sports. We pass these kids through academically. We pass them through with their character, and it goes unchecked, and then bad things happen. And then we say, oh, well, these kids, they got to be more mature. If you pass them through and you don't work on their character, you don't educate them in any way, you're just passing them through the way they're eligible. Whose fault is that? That's your fault. The coach, the faculty, the school presidents, for allowing this ridiculous situation. And it's awful. Next thing up, Ezekiel Elliott, he lost his appeal. Well, actually, no, sorry. He originally lost his appeal to the NFL, but then he got an injunction saying that he was not suspended. And then the NFL went and challenged that injunction that they filed in Texas during the appeal. They challenged that in the court in New Orleans. The court in New Orleans said that the court in Texas didn't have jurisdiction. So now Ezekiel Elliott is suspended again, but the fight's not over. It's actually back to square one because Ezekiel Elliott is now going to file a case in New York asking for another injunction, because he's saying that his appeal was not fair. And truth be told, it was not fair. Do I believe that Ezekiel Elliott is going to end up playing for the rest of the season? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. Because when you look at the NFL's process in this, I understand that many people are sending their press release, the NFL's press releases about Ezekiel Elliott, about these quote-unquote facts. But I have one simple question for you. Is the police department in Ohio, the FBI has potentially even looked at this case. There were no charges brought against Ezekiel Elliott. Why is that? Why do you think that is? So if there is no case if there's no case for domestic violence against Ezekiel Elliott, how on earth can you suspend the man? I understand that there are different rules for the NFL, that it's not a place of adjudication. So then why are you in the adjudication business? If there is no case, there should be no suspension. It doesn't make any sense. None at all, especially when the girl has lied. She was trying to blackmail him and all this. It just doesn't make sense at all. And it's interesting because I keep hearing this same lame line where people are saying, well, if you don't do anything, then you won't get in trouble. That's not exactly true. That's not true in life. It's been true for me. Sorry, it hasn't been true for me. Hasn't been true for other people as well. Because at the point in time that you are a professional athlete, a football player, basketball player, baseball player, you are a target. You are a target for people who either want to take advantage of a situation and want to get a payday. You are a target for people who are scorned. Because what better way to get a professional athlete back now than say, oh, domestic violence, he hit me. What better way? Because you know you're going to tarnish that person's reputation forever. Because there's a big headline that says, oh, George Reister, domestic violence. But then when the case gets gone through and it finds out that she's lying, oh, yeah, you get a blurb on the 13th page of the paper. Or you got to scroll down a lot of pages on the website to find out that the man was actually innocent. But by then, the court of public opinion, the kangaroo court, has already ruled on your life. So Ezekiel Elliott is persona non grata right now. Can't get endorsements because people can't put him on TV because, you know, he's accused of domestic violence. That's just the truth, man. So that's why I believe that if you falsely accuse somebody of a crime, you should go to jail for as long as they would have gone to jail, because that'll deter people. Because I'm a person who believes that victims, actual like sex crime, domestic violence victims, are shamed to come out and it hurts their cases when people make stuff up. That's just the truth. But the whole way the NFL handles these cases is ass backwards anyway. Because Roger Goodell, in the Ezekiel Elliott case, Roger Goodell, they handed down a ruling, right? Then in the appeals process, you can't, Ezekiel Elliott wanted to interview Roger Goodell. He wanted to, well, have his lawyers in front of the panel, and he wanted to question the accuser as well. I don't think that's too much to ask for when you're going to lose millions of dollars and somebody's ruling on your future. Because Goodell, after he handed down the suspension, the appeal, he appointed Harold Henderson, who was going to hear the appeal. Mind you, they have an investigator, a lead investigator, Kia Roberts. They wouldn't even let Kia Roberts in the final meeting because she was saying there should be no suspension. She was recommending no suspension. And mind you, she was the only person who talked to the accuser, Tiffany Thompson. She talked to her 6 times. So if she doesn't think that there should be a suspension, the police don't think that there should be a suspension. I'm sorry, a case brought about. How on earth can you suspend a man? I mean, I get that some things are circumstantial and you can't prove them and all that. But when we live in a country where you are innocent before proven guilty, and we have now turned into this kangaroo court of you're guilty just by accusations, and it's okay if we suspend you because we would rather suspend you and then unsuspend you and say we got it wrong. That doesn't make sense, man. That doesn't make sense because you're costing people their livelihood, their reputation, which can't be bought back. You can't unsee anything. You can't unsee the headlines. You can't unhear it. It's always playing in the back of your mind. Because when you look at Ezekiel Elliott, like, he's not the only one that has been, I mean, people are upset about Spygate. I'm sorry, Deflategate with Tom Brady. With that case, that looked a little funny, fishy, and flimsy in terms of how the NFL handled that. Anthony Hargrove. He gave a news conference in front of NFL headquarters in 2012. Trying to clear his name? Nope. And the NFL just quietly admitted that the crucial evidence against him was inaccurate. Doesn't even make sense. I mean, think about this. In 2016, the NFL had Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, and James Harrison. They threatened them last summer. They threatened those guys last summer. Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, and James Harrison. NFL threatened them and said, if you don't come talk to us about somebody accusing you of using performance-enhancing drugs, we're going to suspend you. I mean, come on. I mean, where on earth is that okay? And it's awful. It's terrible. And there needs to be a reform. And when the collective bargaining agreement is up, and the players go to negotiate, they're going to have to take this power away from Roger Goodell and his office. It is awful. Next thing up, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is in the headlines now for some comments that he made in Cigar Aficionado magazine. But he's not in the headline for one comment that he made. So here's the comment that he made that everybody's paying attention to. He said, I think it's going to hurt. He was talking about super teams. like the Golden State Warriors, the Cleveland Cavaliers. He said, I think it's going to hurt the overall aspect of the league from a competitive standpoint. You're going to have one or two teams that are going to be great and another 28 that are going to be garbage, or they're going to have a tough time surviving in this business environment. Mind you, so we'll get to that comment in a second. But the comment that he made before that about how many cigars he smokes per day is the one that you need to be paying attention to. Michael Jordan said he smokes about 6 cigars a day. I'm not like, I'm not a doctor. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I know that if you're smoking stuff with tobacco, you might get cancer, buddy. Scary times for Michael Jordan. But back to the NBA, though, and his comments about the other 28 teams being garbage. I can't disagree more with him than that, because there is competition throughout the league. And when you look at the history of the league, right, you have the Lakers who've won 16 championships, the Boston Celtics who've won 17 championships. That's 33 championships. That's more than half of the championships that have been won in the entire NBA. 2 teams have won them. So talking about competitive balance, it's only been in 2 places for the most part. And then when you look at the teams that have won in recent history, Lakers, Bulls, San Antonio Spurs, Warriors. I mean, like, these teams have won multiple times. Like, you just don't win once. There are repeaters in there. I mean, it's craziness. But right now in the league, though, you have the Houston Rockets, who are good. Chris Paul, James Harden, they got a squad down there. The Spurs are always competitive, and especially with the Warriors. OKC's got another good team. Boston's got a team. So it's not exactly 100% who's going to come out of the Western Conference or Eastern Conference. Mind you, there's a good guess, but that's not 28 teams that are garbage. It's just the Charlotte Hornets that are garbage, who haven't been to the who haven't actually made it out of the first round of the playoffs since 2000, 2001. And that's just the truth, Michael Jordan. Because when I look at that, I say draft better. Because that's how the Warriors continue to thrive. That's how the San Antonio Spurs thrive. It's off of drafting well. They draft good players. That's how Clay, Steph, and Draymond all got to the Warriors. That's how their bench players have gotten to the Warriors. Aside from Iguodala, there are other contributors. They've come through the draft. And when you are a team and you miss on draft picks, let's just go back to 2013, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Maybe if you don't draft Anthony Bennett first in the draft, what if you draft Otto Porter? You at least got a good player. What if you draft C.J. McCollum, who was at number 10? You draft him number 1. Charlotte, they drafted Cody Zeller. They could have drafted C.J. McCollum, could have drafted Giannis Antetokounmpo. They could have drafted him. No, the reason why your team sucks and the other 28 teams suck is because they draft poorly. That's why. Because the Milwaukee Bucks, who got Giannis Antetokounmpo, they're on the rise. They're going in the right direction. Hell, they could have drafted Dennis Schroeder as well, the point guard for the Atlanta Hawks. Saying 2014 draft. Instead of drafting a guy, instead of drafting Dante Exum, if you're Utah at number 5, you could have drafted Dario Saric. Instead of drafting Doug McDermott at 10, you could have drafted Zach LaVine, Dario Saric. You could have drafted Enes. You could have drafted a Clint Capella. There's a bunch of guys. This goes on and on every single year. So you can't blame it on super teams. You have to blame it on your sorry drafts, your bad draft evaluations. That's what gets teams bad. That's what interrupts the competitive balance of the NBA. I mean, that's just the truth. I mean, look at even the 2015 draft. Imagine if the Lakers take instead of taking D'Angelo Russell, what if they take Kristaps Porzingis? That might be a good thing. Charlotte, maybe instead of Charlotte drafting Frank Kaminsky, what if they draft Miles Turner, Devin Booker? I mean, there's a lot of guys down there in the draft that are doing well that they could have drafted and they didn't. So it's bad drafting that causes the competitive balance in the NBA to be all jacked up. Last thing up today, though, the anonymous emails from Unafraid. I was not expecting them to be this good the first time around. I want to thank you guys for being so great with the first emails. They are, I posted them on my Twitter, posted them on my Facebook. Please make sure that you guys continue to send them in. unafraidshow@gmail.com. You guys did a great job. I'll repost them again today. Appreciate you guys joining me today. Unafraid, right or wrong. Please like the feed, share the feed, continue the conversation. All right, and we will catch you guys for some college football tomorrow. All right, peace.